This week's episode is brought to you by Blue Harvest Vintage. Are you a collector? Blue Harvest love to help you find that missing piece you need to complete your collection. They have extensive stock of vintage Star Wars vehicles and mint-on-card action figures, as well as new The Force Awakens and Black Series items. Blue Harvest have Funko Pops, Lego, Dinky, Corgi, Matchbox and more. Everything a collector could possibly need. If they don't stock it, then let them know, and their knowledgeable staff will be only too pleased to help. Head to Morley Market in Leeds to see the life-size Darth Vader. Alternatively, reach out to Blue Harvest on Twitter at Blue Harvest UK, Facebook, Blue Harvest Vintage Collectibles, a website, blueharvestvintage.co.uk, or email at blueharvesttoys@gmail.com.
Talk Star Wars is a proud member of the Star Wars Commonwealth Podcast Network. Follow at SW Commonwealth on Twitter and take your first steps into a larger world. This is Talk Star Wars, the official podcast at talkstarwars.co.uk. Hello everyone, welcome to Talk Star Wars episode 45. I'm Mark.
I'm Stephen.
And I'm Paul.
No MC Big Wicket this week, but we have got Steve back. Welcome back, mate.
Turning off now. They're all turning off in droves.
You've been missed. How have you been?
Right, mate. I've been Mikeless.
What have you been up to
Mike.
whilst we've been hard at work podcasting?
I have been mostly cleaning a piece of woodland that's been destroyed by someone who lives quite close to me, whose name will remain nameless, for 50 years. And now I'm trying to undo 50 years of devastation to this woodland so I can restore it back to its former glory and put in fox sort of burrows. And badger sets
Are you doing all this on your YouTube channel?
Kind of, yes. I am. I've done 2 videos so far. I took some trees down that were non-native.
I saw that.
Out of those trees, I made a hedgehog hibernaculum.
And I saw that too.
Because hedgehogs have gone down 50% in 5 years, so they will soon be extinct in the UK, the way it's going. And to be honest, I'm doing everything I can, but I am only one man, and I don't think I'm going to save them single-handedly, so we need all the help we can get. So there's some great places to find literature online, the British Hedgehog Preservation
Society. I was going to say, is there any initiative drives and things?
Yeah, well, British Hedgehog Preservation Society is pretty much the place to go.
Well, send us a link. We'll all put it on our various sites. So
yeah, I mean, the hedgehogs are doing bad all around the world because they're easily squished. And will you believe it? They actually they was trying to study why ours are falling so fast, and they put fake hedgehogs in the road, and something like 1 in every 10 people aimed for them.
Oh, you're joking?
So, no, it's a real study that they did it. I can't remember which college. One of the colleges, I think, did it. And it's hardly surprising, isn't it, when you've got people aiming for endangered wildlife?
That's disgusting.
No hope. But yeah, despicable. I'd like to put them in the road and run over their stupid heads.
No, we don't talk like that.
No, too late.
Hedgehogs. Why don't they share?
I know.
Selfish hedgehog.
Oh, is there a joke there? I mean, it's not even funny anymore. That used to be my favourite joke. Why did the hedgehog cross the road? His flatmate. It's not even funny anymore.
No, I'll question whether or not when was it funny? I don't know. All right, let's jump into the announcement section then before we get too hedgehoggy.
Yes.
Just a quick reminder that our sponsors, Blue Harvest Vintage, are offering a 10% discount on orders when you tell them we sent you. So you can head to Facebook and that's facebook.com Blue Harvest Vintage Collectibles, or check them out on Twitter at Blue Harvest UK. Whatever you want to get from them, you can save yourself a pretty penny because some of their stuff is like they've got mint on card collectible action figures and things like that. So
I was on there the other day, because something came up in Twitter, I think, from a link from you. Is it today or yesterday? I can't remember now. I went and had a look, and I was like, "Oh, I want to buy that. And I thought, "Cracky, I'm not doing that because I want to buy everything."
Well, tell them who you are, Steve, and you'll save some money.
Well, yeah. I think would they give me more than 10%?
They might do. It is a bit of a rabbit hole, that though. I think once you start down the dark path,
it's like you can't just buy
one action figure.
Whatever his name is, one action figure, and that'll do you. You have to go and carry on, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. That's what happened to Jeremy.
If I mention them 10 times, do I get it free?
I don't know if that's how it works.
Oh, okay.
You can try.
No. I want Admiral Akbar. That's the only one I want.
Don't. That's a trap.
It's a trap!
So we picked up some extra subscribers on YouTube this week. We picked up a gentleman named John Falk. and Frederick Carlson. They subscribe to the YouTube channel, so thank you for that, gents. We're only 12 away now from my goal to get the vanity URL, so that should probably only take another year.
Spread the word, kids.
The vanity URL.
The vanity URL, because you have to have 100 subscribers to get that now.
On what?
On YouTube.
YouTube?
Yeah, you can't.
Can I have that then?
You can't just get it. You've got it already. You've got Calistine.
What's it look like?
It's beautiful.
I've never even
Can't
seen
stop
it.
looking at itself.
I can't even see. Yeah.
Very venal.
How do I know? I've got 211. Not that I'm counting.
Yeah, you've changed your YouTube name is youtube.com/Calistine, isn't it? That's your vanity URL.
Okay.
It's not just like a
I
long
never
string of
know
numbers
because I
and
changed
letters.
to Wild About Nature, so I can't understand why it still says Calistine.
Yeah,
It's all very confusing to a layman.
that might be something you need to work out when we're not recording. Looks like that might be a bit of a deep problem, that one.
Yeah, I just can't figure it out.
We've also got a new sponsor this week. Kyle from Tumbling Saver became a TSW sponsor, and so he became a VIP also.
Thank you very much.
He is about to settle down and enjoy the first 2 audio commentaries, one of which lost Steve because he had no internet.
He was in a galaxy far, far away.
Oh, that was a whole nother rigmarole.
It was in a dark, dark time. We had no reviews this week, unfortunately, but I didn't check all the stores. I only really checked the easy ones. So there might be something buried out there. I will get to it. But with Rob on holiday, he's got a handy little device that tells me when I've got new iTunes reviews to consider. But in the meantime, in the next week, if you want to leave us a review, don't forget the Ron Burgundy policy, which means whatever you write, I will read verbatim, as long as it isn't sort of foul and full of hate. So if you want to promote your blog or you want to give someone a birthday shout out, that's the place to do it. Just leave us a 5-star review and I will read it word for word. Okay, let's get into some listener comms. A bit light this week on listener comms because we've got the Rogue One trailer to discuss. So we've got two emails and a voicemail, and then we've got Connor's Corner. So
I'm assuming Kyle is the same Kyle we just discussed 2 seconds ago. Yes?
Indeed, Kyle, he of Tumbling Saber fame. So listener communications, you can send us your questions and comments via Twitter, Facebook, or send us an email at talkstarwarsinfo@gmail.com. And you can now send voicemail quickly and easily from your phone. We have one of those coming up for you tonight. So we got this question from Kyle at Tumbling Saber. Would someone like to read this one?
Yeah, Steve can.
Oh, okay.
Go for it, Stevie.
Hi, Mark, Rob, Paul, and Steve. Look, I've been put to the back. That's what happens.
It
You have
says
troubles.
why.
If Steve is back, that is. Okay, I'll let him off. I hope you are well and that this question arrives in time for your recording. Anakin says he's been on Tatooine since he was very little. 3, he thinks. Is he mistaken? Is it a force vision clouding things, or could he have been born elsewhere? Surely the birthplace of the Chosen One has to be important, so what's the dealio here? I added the O there. I know we're pretty much done with Anakin stroke Vader, Rogue One notwithstanding, but is there anything to this, or was Anakin just putting the moves on Padme? He's even put the accent on the end of the acute accent.
I know.
on Padme.
Very cool.
Attention to detail.
Yeah, as always, I await your insightful answers. Did he meant to send this to Tumbling Saber?
No, he runs Tumbling Saber.
Oh yeah.
He wouldn't be writing to himself.
But he might do. Cheers, gents. Kyle.
Yeah, so what do we think? Was Shmi and Anakin, was Tatooine their home planet?
That's an interesting one, isn't it?
It's horrible with these questions because every time you read one, you're like, didn't think of that, and now I've got a lot to think about.
Yeah,
I think his mum would have been sort of force clouded as well.
Yeah, but even she was
Force clouded.
she was quite vague with the information as well, wasn't she? I mean, regarding him.
purposefully so.
Well, I
Yeah.
think-
She's like,
Yeah,
I don't know what
so-
happened. I had 9 whiskey sours, and I met this guy. He was really nice, and then a month later, I found out I was pregnant,
It's,
and I was walking like I've been on a donkey all week.
Stephen.
You can say donkey and walking.
I think there is a more Look, with some
pertinent answer.
some of the stuff that's come out recently across different forms of media, certainly in the books, is that there was a Sith research facility on Jakku, which means there's a chance
They're going to revisit that in the next two films.
there's a chance that they could have even come from Jakku, because being slaves, they were probably shipped around, weren't they?
All right, question for you, because I've never examined this at all. Have you looked at the Star Wars galaxy, and I mean galaxy?
Yeah, how many planets there are and things. Yeah,
What's the distance between Jakku and Tatooine?
That's exactly what I was going to ask.
yeah, I'm not sure.
I mean, they do light speed anyway, I know, but it's not,
We could have a quick look, couldn't we? Let's have a look.
Well, light speed won't get you anywhere very fast.
Well, it will. It'll get you 186,000 miles in a second.
It's the
Yeah, but
hyperspeed.
if you want to go to nearest star, it'll
hyperspace.
take you 5 years going from here.
Let's have a look. So, Jakku.
Are you on
Sorry.
galaxyfarfaraway.com now?
I am having a look at something. Yeah, I'm going to see if I can
It's a
find
long
something.
way. But
Just
it spins really quickly, like you could see in the end of Empire.
There's a really long line with an arrow on either end. It just says long way.
Yeah, yeah. It might be something
think-
that.
I
Go
think
on.
it's a possibility that they both weren't
I think
Tatooine
it's pretty
at
doubtful
early
that they came from Tatooine. In my
I
opinion.
reckon if it
Yeah.
came up, it's something. I think it would be a hindsight story. I don't think it's anything that was considered during the making of
No, I think you're right.
and the writing, the initial storytelling. I don't think that would have been considered. I think it's something they can put in now.
Because it doesn't involve having a green screen, so Lucas wouldn't have been interested in it for those prequels.
Well, it's not really what I mean. But
That's not me meowing, but
I don't know,
that's the
it's-
cat.
I can't. I mean,
Okay.
Mark, you could probably even quote what Anakin says early on. Does he give any reference to his early memories, even when
No,
even
no.
in Phantom Menace?
Just what Kyle says really in his email, which is he thinks he's been there since he was 3. He doesn't really know. I would imagine that they've probably been sold and traded hands, passed through different owners. And Shmi might have been a
Look,
slave
anyway.
since she was a child. But it just seems something is telling me that there might be more to this research facility on Jakku, which is it's about, let's see, the Life Debt book is set just after Phantom Menace, I think.
A while ago, then.
Yeah, so you've got this character called Gallius Rax, who they think may be Snoke.
So,
Is a 12-year-old boy at the time. And Palpatine...
Oh, really?
Yeah, Palpatine has sent people to Jakku to set up this research facility. So if it's after Phantom Menace, then
So
it
giving
might
Rey a
not
connection,
be.
a possible connection back
Yeah,
to it as well.
possibly, yeah. But there might be more going on Jakku than we realise. And if that is, if there's some significance there, and Anakin has his origins there, then you can start drawing lines to Padme as well. Because,
Yeah.
sorry, excuse me, not Padme, Rey.
sorry,
Ray.
Yeah.
See,
That's what we're talking about.
she
Yeah, I
might
mean,
share the same
online,
origin.
Sorry, Mark. Online, it says they moved to the outer rim world of Tatooine at a young age. I'm kind of just doing a general Googly. I did have a look earlier on.
Yeah.
There's nothing specific at all.
No, there isn't, and I think that's probably by design to try and keep that off the table until they know what they want
Ambiguous.
to do with it. But it wouldn't surprise me now if they kind of retcon this thing around a Rey origin.
It wouldn't be remotely out of the question that he is from somewhere else.
No, and my money right now is on Jakku because
Jakku,
because you got so much going on there with. That's where the Church of the Force decided to set up shop, and that's where Rey hails from.
Where he was cloned, then you think,
I
Why
think
not?
that came about after Phantom
oh,
Menace.
you mean
though.
after Phantom Menace?
Yeah, I think that was after Phantom Menace because it's I mean it's that book that I didn't really get on with, so I haven't finished it, so I don't know much more about the facility. But I know that at the end of Return of the Jedi, I've got the guys that hang around with the Emperor in like those purple robes.
Mm-hmm.
One of them, this guy goes to Jakku and has very specific coordinates to go to in order to establish this research facility. So
But you're not talking about the Imperial Guard.
no, not the Imperial Guard. No, these
I beg your pardon, who?
some advisors, the Palpatine sort of advisors that he has around him.
Oh, I do know the ones you mean.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
this
kind of
this
got
would have been
yellowy orange
around.
faces.
I think if we could say that Snoke is about the same age as Anakin, and he was 12 at the time, so you're probably saying that the research facility came about after Anakin was created, but that doesn't mean that Plagueis didn't create. Plagueis wasn't you could say Plagueis might have been based on Jakku, and that's why Sidious goes back there and sets up the Sith research facility or the Imperial research facility there at that time. I think the smart money's probably on that. They're probably going to do more with Jakku going backwards into these stories.
That takes us away from the possibility that he was created by midichlorians is...
Yeah, they might not use the M word, but there will probably be manipulation of the Force and things like that.
So we're talking about what's his face now?
Plagueis.
Plagueis, yes.
As the story was told in episode 3. So.
Yeah.
But that would be where my money is. I'd be interested to see what Kyle thinks, actually. I might bounce this back to him this week just to see what he says on Tumbling Saber. It's an intriguing question because that's another area, like Paul said, it's another area we haven't really thought about.
No, you don't until you see these questions.
No.
Stop asking questions, people.
no, don't stop asking questions, Beetle.
Making us think too much.
We've got an audio message from James, also from Tumbling Saber. Now, he sends these things in at the last minute, he says, to keep us on our toes. And this one's a good one. It's about Qui-Gon.
Hello, boys, once again from Canada. James O here from the Tumbling Saber. Just want to say keep up the excellent work on your podcast. Terrific show. And Rob, believe you found a new career in rapping. This week's question is about Qui-Gon Jinn. Stems from a disagreement we had amongst the Saberers. Seeing as how Qui-Gon is a Force ghost, from a storytelling perspective, is it odd he didn't appear to his apprentice Obi-Wan, Yoda, or some other character in the original trilogy? I mean, the reasons he did not appear in the OT are obvious, as it was filmed decades earlier, and Qui-Gon probably wasn't conceived of yet. But if you could rewrite it, was there a role for him to play? Could he have helped out, seeing as how, in theory, as a Force ghost, he was available? Look forward to your answer, boys.
It's got a fantastic way about him, isn't it? I can see why their podcast does quite well. All we've got to rely on is the accents, and that doesn't get you very far.
Gets us far enough. So what do we think about Qui-Gon Jinn? Would he have been a benefit in the original trilogy? And why, if he was a ghost, a Force ghost, because we know by the end of the prequel trilogy that he's connected with Yoda and he's been teaching Yoda and Obi-Wan, why wasn't he involved with the whole original trilogy stuff?
That I've got no idea on, but he would have been a fantastic asset going on with the story, because he's the only thing I actually think I care about in the first film.
I think he hit the nail on the head there when he said he hadn't been conceived of yet, because I think it would have been fantastic if he had, and it would have lent some weight to the prequels as well, because it would have been that nice crossover, and bridge between the two sets of films. And also, it would be great at the end of Jedi if he'd appeared next to Obi-Wan.
Yeah, so we had a conversation a couple of weeks ago. I don't know whether you were on this one, Steve, but we were talking about the ability to see Force ghosts and where that ability lies. Does it lie with the person that's showing themselves as a ghost, or does it rely with the Jedi that's seeing? Does the skill lie with the Jedi that's seeing the ghost?
I mean, you was.
I was on for that.
There's evidence. You was.
You get the impression that Leia cannot see Ben, Yoda,
Yeah.
and Anakin at the end of Jedi. You just get the impression she can't see any of that.
Yes,
but Luke's obviously
absolutely.
very, very comforted by it. So,
And at the risk of repeating what we discussed very briefly, Luke doesn't see Obi-Wan at the end of A New Hope. He just hears disembodied voice. And then he sees a weak version of Ben's ghost in Empire, but by Jedi he's seeing a fully formed figure, isn't he? Is that Luke getting stronger? My belief is that that's Luke getting stronger in the Force, and therefore he's more capable of seeing
when
these
Ben
things.
presents himself on Dagobah, he's pristine.
Yeah.
He even sits on a log.
In Jedi, yeah. By the time he
in
gets to
Hope,
Jedi,
though, he had to be a voice, didn't he? Because otherwise,
Oh, it is
he'd
in
have been
Jedi, I'm
floating
sorry, of course it
outside
is.
the canopy.
yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, there was no way for him to have seen it. The only time I guess
They should have done him running next to the X-wing.
Yeah. The only opportunity really to get an Obi-Wan ghost in there would have been on the Death Star when he says "Run, Luke, run." That would be the only time that you could have that he could have appeared, if that was a thing that he could just switch it on and appear. But
Yeah, too early
sort of
doors
staring at
for
the chest.
Force Ghosts. Then the users. But you can tell I'm in IT. The audience would not have been able to understand Force Ghosts. It would have looked very weird.
Well, that's the practical side of it. Yeah, from the production standpoint,
slow introduction, isn't it?
Yeah, and then with that, like James said in his question, if you take that into consideration, the reason we didn't see Qui-Gon is because he hadn't been written yet. But when we're trying to retcon these things and make them part of the tapestry, I would say that it's probably something to do with whose ability is being depended on to see the ghosts. So we had in The Force Awakens, we had Rey hearing voices, but not seeing people. And maybe that's because she's not been trained
She's
yet.
seen plenty of other stuff, haven't she?
She was seeing the visions, but she didn't get a chance to see any of the sort of ethereal versions of Yoda or Obi-Wan.
We heard both voices, didn't we?
And we heard Palpatine as well, which is interesting.
Hmm.
But I would think I had a bit of an insight to this question today because I had an exchange with Kyle on Twitter about it. And I was saying that I think perhaps if Qui-Gon had been involved with Luke at the start, then the mistakes that Yoda and Obi-Wan made wouldn't have been made. They wouldn't have sent him off. Qui-Gon is unlikely to have sent Luke off to face Vader. Because that's a very dark side thing, isn't it? You've got to go and confront him. Well, the Jedi are all about defense. They're not about that, taking that position. So everything they did, and they lied to Luke about his origin.
He would have seen the bigger picture.
He would have seen the bigger picture. He probably would have given Luke better guidance. And I wonder if another reason why Luke hasn't seen or heard from Qui-Gon, well, there's two options, really. Option one is that Luke doesn't know him, so had no opportunity to connect with him when he was alive, so therefore can't connect to him when he's passed.
Yeah, it's almost not necessary to him, isn't it?
Yeah, and we haven't seen that yet, have we? We haven't seen somebody... I mean, well, I guess with Rey, we're getting there because she's hearing the voices of people she's never met, so that's something they might be exploring in the future. The other possibility is that Qui-Gon's become one with the Force completely, and his ghost is gone. We said that they might only have a short period of time before they become one with the Force and lose their identity. Maybe Qui-Gon's gone by the time we get to Luke's childhood.
Yeah, it's possible, isn't it?
Because by that point, it would have been, 30 years maybe?
I mean, also, if you
years.
don't use it, you lose it, don't you? So if there's no one for him to talk to, and that bridge is going to decay and he's going to move into the other side.
I mean, Yoda says that he's going to teach Obi-Wan how to commune with Qui-Gon so that they could both speak with him and learn these skills and stay connected through the Force.
But Luke never needed to get taught unless Yoda did it off screen.
Well,
he didn't like the camera, Yoda, did he?
No, he was watching him, wasn't he? He says that in Empire. This one a long time I've watched.
Yes.
Yeah.
So maybe the safe money here would be on the fact that Qui-Gon has gone and lost his individuality by the time we get to the OT.
Yeah. It's things like that, isn't it? The beautiful sentences like that make you have a little bit more faith in George Lucas at the time.
What's that, mate?
Like that's a beautiful thing to weave into the tapestry, as you called it, isn't it? Think ahead.
This one a long time I've watched.
Yeah, it doesn't lend anything new to anything. It doesn't make you at that point go, oh my God, that's amazing. But it shows you that Lucas was thinking hard about this whole.
And it makes Yoda a much stronger character as well, doesn't it? To think that he's privy to things that he shouldn't be because he's using his ability. So he's seeing stuff that we see.
Yeah.
As the audience
Definitely.
from the God seat.
Yeah, that's awesome. That
it's really, really cool. I'm with Paul. I would have liked to have seen Qui-Gon in the original trilogy, and it does. I do find it quite intriguing where they're going to take that, because there's quite a huge development now with this going forward. We need some of those things coloured in, some details filled into this stuff, so that we really understand the rules.
Definitely,
that's going to be good.
Good question. That
it's awesome. Yeah, thanks, James.
Thank you, James.
Okay, we got this question from a gentleman named Chris Holland, who sent this out of the blue today. It's about Slave One.
Ooh, Slave One.
Steve, do you want to take that?
Yes. Hi, guys. Love the podcast. Thank you very much. I have a question that probably isn't suitable for broadcast. It's not rude. And I get away with stuff. But it isn't always. It's always annoyed me. If Slave One flies like this, imagine Slave One vertical now.
On its tail,
the camera. But lands like this. Imagine Slave One
lying down.
You'll
see these pictures in the show notes, by the way.
Oh, how do Django and Boba get into the pilot seats? Surely the seats would be in the backs facing the floor, and the seat part of the seat in the air when in the landing position. I think I know the answer to this.
You do?
Well, I know how they get into the Slave One because they take Han in the back. They take Han in the rear, don't they?
yeah. I think he means how do they get into the seats, because when the ship changes its attitude, they're going to be
the seats rotate.
Yeah, they do. They rotate.
I was guessing then, didn't
I? No, that's canon.
Oh, okay.
And it's in the you kind of see it. You see in Attack of the Clones, you see Boba getting into the seat, and it's kind of in a peculiar position, isn't it? And
it literally rolls forward and lifts at the same time.
Yeah, and it did it in the toy.
The toy did too, actually. I've just sent you a blueprint, guys.
The original toy. Oh, whereabouts, Paul?
Just sent you a blueprint.
Skype, or any other online chat things are available.
Oh wow!
Let's have a look. You have to put this in the show notes.
Oh, I've just.
Can I just say, having looked at Slave One, like in those pictures and that,
one of the best ships.
That's another
ever.
thing. It's almost more iconic than the Falcon, isn't it?
Well, it is something they did incredibly well with the design, didn't they? To get something that is
so unusual.
And I think its origin is it's a police car. It's used to police some planet.
It's very Blade Runner-y, doesn't it? Like something that could be in Blade Runner.
It does, yeah. It's got that Blade Runner stroke Fifth Element kind of look to it. But Fifth Element
bigger than you think as well, isn't it?
It is a little bigger than you think, yeah. If you look at the picture that I do apologise, sir. Chris sent us the second picture. Well, even the first picture, you get a scope of how big Boba Fett would be in that window.
Yeah. And do you remember? It's that scene actually where he says, "Put Captain Solo in the cargo port," and they're walking up those ramps, aren't they? I'm looking at this blueprint now. It's absolutely spectacular.
It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really, really cool. That
because really, that's not that much smaller. I mean, its blueprint its footprint is smaller, but it's got the height. They're very much smaller than the Falcon, is it?
So yeah, basically, as you look at the ship, sort of sideways on, when you walk up the ramp, but the top of the ramp, there's almost like a ladder lifting assembly that the other side pulls you up and spins the seat around at the same time, and that's what happens.
Yeah.
Hence, he's initially laying down and then gets lifted. It's a bit Thunderbirds like.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it?
To be completely honest.
Oh, I see those two seats that are facing the back door.
Yeah, one's down.
You can see them.
And one's up high. So can you see?
I can see two like hairdresser seats.
Yeah, one's
they're
low,
facing the back.
One's low down and one's up high. So Boba will get in that, and they'll be facing the back of the ship. And then when the ship takes off, the seats will remain upright, and the ship will sort of rotate around them through like 90 degrees. Oh. It's an amazing design. It's so cool. I will have to grab this. I'll grab this image and pop it in the show notes next to Chris's images that he sent through so that he can see them.
We should give a shout out to the book name as well. just to give them some free press.
No.
Yeah, it's the Star Wars Incredible Cross Sections, isn't it?
Okay.
That's what that is.
Are they sanctioned by Lucas?
Yep,
or-
they're developed by them. Yeah, they're all official, all canon. Yeah, really
Wow.
really beautifully illustrated stuff.
Why don't
really
we
cool.
build one of these then, and then go and visit other planets? Like, if the plans are there, it seems mad.
There is a flaw in your.
I mean,
And
we're
your
still
plan to do
burning
that.
fossil fuels, for God's sake. And we've got
Well, here he
plans
goes.
of interstellar craft. It's mad. It's just that is only humans could be this stupid.
That's a great picture as well, Paul. Okay, hopefully, Chris, that will answer your question. But when I got that this morning, I thought, oh, I know the answer to this one, because that's there's something. Slave One's been something I've been really interested in ever since 1980.
Rode on it.
Basically,
It's the coolest ship.
It
If I was
is.
offered that or the Falcon, I'll take it. I'm afraid.
It's awesome, and also I like the way Django bumps his head on the door as he goes in. It's it's a callback to A New Hope.
That's paying homage to the Stormtrooper.
Was that deliberate?
It
that
is.
bang?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Right, so today, that's it for listener comms, by the way. Just a light one this week because we got bigger fish to fry with this trailer business. A new poster came out last night, which we'll talk about briefly in a sec, and a new trailer came out today
Trailer for what?
for The Roguish of the One. So should we just have a quick look at this poster? There's a link in the show notes that you can follow out so that you can...
Oh, I've actually just zoomed in on that properly.
What, the poster?
Yeah.
Which one's the poster? The Death Star rise?
I didn't realise she appears to be a rendered photograph where the rest of them are painted.
Oh, I see what you mean now. Yes.
Yeah.
That-
Yeah, no,
You look at her, she appears to be a rendered photo, right?
I think you
Which
might be
has got
right.
all
And then
Tron-esque
you
bits.
scroll down and the others are obviously artistic.
Yeah.
That's
Look at that.
fantastic.
Look at that projected onto the side of her
Yeah, the
face
Death
and onto her
Star
shoulder. It's the
plans.
Yeah,
Death
it's
Star
cool in
plans, isn't
Death
it?
Star plans, yeah.
And that Darth Vader just over her shoulder, just looming.
Looking back.
This poster is absolutely stunning.
It is not.
There's
Better
been,
than it's actually better than the Force Awakens poster.
yeah. There's been a
And-
couple of wonky
donkeys,
yeah.
Rogue One posters, but this one's really good. So I'm quite that Ben Mendelsohn's image though. He almost gets lost in there a little bit, doesn't he?
I don't know if you've noticed. Go all the way down to the bottom of the poster,
Yeah.
and the stormtrooper on the far left. Look behind him, between him and the next stormtrooper. Is that just tree roots or something, or is that an arm and a leg sticking out of the water?
Oh,
Yeah.
No, it's like a. Yeah,
It's just
it
like
does look
logs,
like
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I see what you mean though. It's silly. It's actually weird that they've put that in there. But
It is, isn't it?
what's it signifying? It didn't need to be there. There's
It's
not even
probably-
any other routes in the whole picture.
It's just part of the photograph, isn't it, that they'd taken, I would imagine.
Would have been cool to see. There's not a single X-wing on the beach scene, so I guess
no,
they're
you-
saving
There's
it for
one-
the Death Star.
There's an X-Wing just by the word Rogue.
Is there? Is he high?
Oh, yeah, on
It's
the
right
left.
next to the title treatment.
Oh, there is. I can't see there.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Under-
Oh, hang on.
split. Oh no, it's not. It's the original X-wing. I was going to say I thought they split the engines. There
I do
now.
apologise.
No, it's the
I
same.
do apologise. I've cut off the bottom quarter of the picture,
Oh, right.
so that stuff's not even
Silly
where I said it
sausage.
was. I'm really sorry. That's an unforgivable mistake.
December 16th. That's only 2 months away.
Yep. I'm getting there. So exciting. This looks fantastic.
Have we booked yet?
No, we haven't booked yet.
Is it wrong to say
Private
she's
screen.
really, really, really gorgeous, isn't she?
Yeah, she's great in this trailer as well. Should we jump over and talk about the trailer?
Do you want to watch it together, or are we?
I think that might cause us some problems with audio, judging by what happened before
Oh,
we started recording. So, well, I've got some stills though. So if you follow that link out, you can see a still store
Stills.
of really beautiful images from this trailer. Let me just brighten my screen a little bit.
looks like. I'll wait for you guys. I'm at the first one.
Yeah, so the first one looks like
Yes,
um,
moisture evaporators.
that's not the
Hey?
first one.
No,
Oh, is it? Hang on,
it's
what
like
one's the
Shuttle
first one?
Tiderian type of thing
Yeah, you
going
got,
up to the sky.
Krennic shuttle.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm back.
and what appears to be an accretion type disk going around the planet.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Okay,
we got
cool.
the rings, but we're seeing rings from a different perspective to the way we usually do, aren't we? So I wonder if this is a hint that we're...
This was all filmed in the Maldives, I'm assuming, still, because it's a beach scene, isn't it? Obviously, again, you can see the waves.
yeah,
and
I
so
don't know.
on.
They did some stuff in Iceland as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
But
It's nice that they're doing different genomes on one planet.
Well, we don't know
It's
that yet.
genomes, biomes, not genomes, biomes.
We
You
don't.
know what I mean
we
by
don't
that?
know that yet because this might be a completely different planet though.
Oh, okay.
Because this has got the rings, like Paul said. The and this might imply that where Jin grew up with Galen is equatorial, and this is the stuff where they filmed in Iceland, I think. So this might not be Jeddah. This might be somewhere else.
Okay.
So you
Well,
might,
yeah, 'cause
you
the
might just
rings,
get your
I mean-
singular thing, your singular biosphere.
Yeah. It's weird why they do that on Star Wars, isn't it? You've got the forest moon of Endor.
Yeah.
You've got the planet that they made the one in Force Awakens on was all icy cold. I mean, it's very unrealistic because you would have biomes dependent on the
It is
equatorial region and everything else. wouldn't you?
purely George's rules were you need to register where you are immediately, so you know where you are in a story.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
with Empire Strikes
But
Back, you're either
that
in a
said-
swamp or you're on an ice planet.
That said, every other planet in our solar system has a single one, pretty much, Steve.
No, they don't have atmosphere. If you've got an atmosphere,
That's
you
not what
get
I said.
different- Yeah, but you don't walk around on Io or Ganymede or Calypso, do you? You just watch them from afar.
Has the moon got an
How do you
atmosphere?
know? How do you know? they
Has the
haven't
moon got an
got
atmosphere?
No.
Has man ever walked on it?
You know what I mean?
Right, let's move on to the second image. So this is the one with the evaporators, Steve.
Yes, it's got a teeny weeny, incy wincy little bit of binary sunset.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah.
when I first
going
watched
on.
the trailer. I thought, oh, binary sunset.
There's
It's
a
good.
lot of the homestead in this, isn't there? A
Yeah.
lot. And this
Yeah, I
we,
actually like that
we
shot.
saw this planet in the footage they showed us at Celebration, that little trailer that was just for Celebration.
Yes.
We saw this planet, didn't we? The volcanic sort of landscape. It looked a little bit like the Canary Islands.
Was it filmed in Iceland?
This was filmed
looks
in
like-
Iceland, I believe, yeah.
Okay.
And so we
Why
see,
would you have moisture evaporators there if they are that?
yeah,
There's
we
moisture
don't,
in the air.
we don't know what they're doing yet, do we? We know that Galen's a scientist and he's created some technology that the Empire want. He's created something
Okay.
beautiful, apparently, according to Mads Mikkelsen. And this is finally him. We finally
think
get to
it's
see
just the
Galen.
way-
this
I
one.
have a theory about this picture already. Do you want to hear it?
Go on, then.
See that band of green
Yeah.
with the AKA moisture evaporators along it?
Yeah.
I wonder
Hydroponics.
if that goes in a huge circle and that is part of his test for the disc on the Death Star. Or something.
Right.
Or
It's like a similar thing on the ground, like, the thing in Switzerland that accelerates particles.
No, I think it's just.
Because there is, if you zoom in, there
I
is.
think he's, I
shape
think he's
to
just
those green
successfully
patches.
farmed
Yeah, I think it's a
using
farm.
moisture.
But I think you might be onto something. There's a reason why Krennic landed that shuttlecraft that far away, isn't there? It's not just to like be ominous and make a impactful entrance, but it's about it might be that he can't land inside there.
Or outside there.
Hmm.
'Cause that's a big valley.
Oh,
isn't
that's
it? It would be
cool.
It's a good picture, though.
It's an awesome
Beautiful.
picture. Well, let's
I
move
like
on.
the way the way the 7 characters are walking across that
Yeah.
landscape.
So that's the next image. We've got the sixth death.
Oh no, but no, they're in the
six-
first image as well, though, aren't they?
Yeah. If you move on though,
Oh,
you
right,
get
this is
a
the
better
other
look
way.
at them, and it's
Oh.
really
And
impactful.
what's the budget of this movie, Mark?
I got no idea.
Because from that trailer,
Lots.
you would have thought it's like AAA 200 million, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I don't think it's that high. I don't.
No, I know.
don't know if they really
it
go that
certainly
high.
looked like that, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
It
every
looks
penny's on
just-
screen, isn't it?
Oh, beautiful.
But these Death Troopers are stunning. I love the way that they're the black versions of the Stormtroopers, and you got your lead character in a white cloak, where we're used to seeing the inverse, aren't we, with Vader in the black and his white troops. And then there's that homestead. It looks every bit like the place Luke grew up, doesn't it?
Mm.
The little troglodyte dome and things like that. It's awesome. I love the landscape
Beautiful.
as well. It's really
And
gorgeous.
what's he holding in his hand, Krennic?
Can't see anything.
Oh no, it's not. It's his cloak.
It's part
That's
of his
right, it looked
cloak,
like,
that, yeah.
It's
it
his
looked like
scarf.
one of those things they were using against John Boyega's character.
Oh, it does a
For
bit.
the
I know.
lightsaber.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I know.
yeah.
I zoom
The
in. I can't get these
anti-lightsaber.
full screen. These things. Looking at them from afar.
Right, if we jump on to the next one, we get a picture. We get Jin, young Jin, child Jin, and Galen. And this is where Galen's telling her that whatever he does to keep her safe. If you remember from the dialogue in the trailer.
So, if whatever he does to keep us safe. So, I mean, is he? Yeah, he's leaving. I think he's saying, "I've got to go. I'm leaving you, and I'm doing that to keep you safe."
Yeah. And
Something
then-
along those lines.
And you do, I don't know if you see it in a minute. Yeah, a couple of images on, you'll see the kids hiding. Young Jin is hiding. So I think this is where Galen's sort of been given an ultimatum that he's going to go and help the Empire achieve their ends. And I would assume the welfare of his family is the pressure point in that scenario.
That's why he's walked down the valley and met them on the green strip.
Yeah, that is it. Yeah, he's gone down there, he's keeping them away from his home. They're tooled up, these things, aren't they? I'm getting
Why does he need? Do you think he's got the force in a way? Because there's a lot of troopers there against one man.
Oh, Galen? No, I just think it's a show of might. I think this is an ego thing for Krennic. But it's interesting, isn't it? The numbers are very reminiscent of like the Knights of Ren. So there's 6 Knights of Ren.
And he has still got a sore throat. You can see the strepsils
You
quite
can
clearly.
see his strepsils, yeah.
He's still suffering.
So there's a picture of Galen in a muddy coat and he's wearing Under Armour by the looks of things. He looks cool. And they look younger, like younger versions of themselves, don't they?
They do. Well, they need to, don't they? Because how many years have passed? What, 12 to 15 years past at this point?
Yeah, I think that's probably about right. This is 12 or 15 years before the events of Rogue One, I would say, with Jim
So he
being the
does
age he
look
is.
quite young, doesn't he, there? They've done a good job of younging him out.
Yeah, and
Younging.
younging, and Krennic's still. You can just see in the next image he's got the white uniform under that cape of his. So he's definitely director at this point.
He doesn't look quite so young.
No, just yeah.
Because Australians, I guess they're always in the sun.
Yeah, he's he
love
looks a
a
little
bit of sun.
darker. His hair and stuff looks a little darker to me. Maybe that's because it's
Yeah.
wet. The next image is the one I was talking about of Jin hiding. So she's
In,
clearly
in
taking
some
in
wheat, by the looks of it. That's
Yeah.
what that area's wheat or something.
That's
They've
cool.
got that's a very good young. I forget the lady's name now. Actress's name.
Felicity
Jones.
Yeah,
Because she's got a slight overbite and stuff going on.
yeah,
Definitely good
good
actor
casting.
there.
And then
good
we cut
casting.
straight to the grown-up version of Felicity Jones as she snaps out of whatever this was, whether it's a dream she's having or it might be completely unrelated by the time we get to the cut of the film. But this is modern Jin, and she is in a prison cell with a really cool-looking alien.
With who? Yeah,
Oh
look
yeah,
good.
look at the alien. That's
Probably
that's
just
squiddy.
it looks like a little squid face. Yeah, just some random alien. I would think. I don't suppose there's anything significant there, but the stormtrooper on the other side of that door I thought was pretty cool. And look at the doors. They got like the pill-like
Yeah, the
patterns.
Darth
Very,
Vader.
very Death Star, aren't they?
Very Death Star. Yeah. So
Very
this
Death
is an
Star, yeah.
Imperial prison, I would imagine.
Like, she's been there for a while because she has some objets personal on the right,
Yeah. Yeah.
tucked away there.
Next image, we see a marketplace. I think it's fair to assume that this is Jeddah.
You know what that says on the wall? Can you recognise any of those characters at all?
No, I
It's
can't.
a Chad.
A lot of it's it's a Chad. Vader was here.
Down with Brexit.
Yeah. No, I'm not quite sure what that is, but I know this shot pans out and it reveals the tower in the city of Jeddah.
Which we love, that
which we
scene, don't
love,
we?
and it's got the
That's-
Death Star over it, and these TIE fighters come screaming through the frame. And you can just see through the archway there is one of those little chicken walkers, little ATSTs.
Oh, yes, yeah. You see that later on, didn't you?
So there's quite a heavy sort of Imperial presence in that one shot.
I could see this film being bigger than The Force Awakens,
Oh, I don't know.
No,
I
it
don't
won't.
know.
I honestly, I think it's...
No,
I
Mr.
think
and Mrs. Smith don't know enough about it, mate.
It looks far more impressive than The Force
It does,
Awakens.
but from a marketing point of view, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, as I've come to understand, is the marketing for it's tricky for them to. A lot of people, I mean, they're all waiting for episode 8 and 9.
They're treating us like idiots again. So I was talking to someone on Twitter earlier on about, or YouTube, I can't remember what now, and about the opening crawl. And if they don't give us one, they're treating us like idiots, because everybody knows now this is not the film after The Force Awakens.
I don't want an opening crawl.
Oh, why?
Because it's not a Star Wars film. No, it's not. It's not. It's a Star Wars story. It's not part of
It's a Star Wars film.
No.
If you had Mark, can we do a vote on the next week, please? Should there be an opening crawl in Rogue One?
Yeah, we can make a note of that.
Because I bet we get about 80%, if not more.
I'm gonna create loads of Twitter accounts with loads of different emails and vote.
just for the record, I want one. I understand if they don't do it, but I do want one, because it's more to me about the story, to the Buck Rogers style storytelling, than it is about Star Wars, the opening crawl.
Yeah,
but I understand if they want to preserve it for the saga.
They're not doing it for that. That isn't their reasoning, and that's what's annoying me. If that was their reasoning, then okay, I can understand.
What's the reasoning as you understand it, Steve?
That they don't want people to get confused.
It's probably going to be more confusing, though, isn't it? If there's no opening crawl.
Wars. Oh yes, that's exactly right. Yeah. But but they don't want people getting disappointed in the cinema that this isn't episode 8, and that's ridiculous.
But they'll spend the first 5 minutes scratching their head if you don't. The thing is with the crawl.
So use an opening narrative.
The opening crawl, as I've always understood it, is to help you orientate yourself from the off. So, Luke Skywalker has vanished. That immediately, like episode 3, war. It gets you straight into the story.
That means every film ever made needs something like that.
No,
it doesn't.
Sequel or
this
prequel
is well, this isn't. This is a stand-alone movie.
Yeah, but I don't like the fact it's a stand. I like feeling that it's another Star Wars film, and so does 99% of the population of the Earth. Right? It's more than anything else. This is about tradition, and you want to feel like you're watching.
No, it's not. It's about
Wars
breaking
film.
tradition.
I don't think it is.
That's why they've done the film. This is an experiment. They told us that. They told us this more or less at Celebration.
I think they know right off the get-go that anything, if they made a turd in space and put Star Wars on it, people would go and see it. That they don't need to sell the Star Wars idea. They need to appease the fans, and the fans want an opening crawl because it makes them feel like they're children again, like they're watching Star Wars again, and it's a traditional thing, like whatever you do traditionally. And I think that's pretty clear.
Not at all.
Apart from the end bit where I went down.
Traditionally unclear.
But do you know what I mean, Mark?
I do, and I'm with you in a way. I'm with you. I'm 90% in agreement with you. I can understand Paul's point as well, that this needs to, in a way, needs to stand apart and on its own and break the structure, which it is, because it's it's not following the Skywalker story, even though Anakin's in here in a way. I just think that they're going to be, if the reasoning is you drop the crawl so that people aren't disappointed that it's not about Finn and Rey, then I think you've got a bigger problem on your hands, because when they don't see an opening crawl, they're going to spend the first 5 minutes saying, "Where was the opening crawl? That's not a Star Wars film."
Yeah, and not thinking about the film. Exactly. That is exactly right. Can you do me a favour? I don't know what we've got planned for a Twitter vote. Can we just do that now and get it on? I want to see what it looks like before the end of the.
You can put it out on your. Put it out on your.
That means I have to work things out. I'm not just. Oh, Mark, you hate doing these. I hate these things. Okay, I'm going to go quiet while I engage
you do
my
that,
brain
and we'll carry on with these images. So the next image in the trailer.
Can you just tell people where this is then? Because it's going to be on my World About Nature on Twitter. So.
When you tweet it, I'll retweet it for you.
Excellent.
The next image, Paul, is I think an homage. And seeing as we've just watched this film a couple of weeks ago, I think this is an homage to A New Hope, where this time you've got the rebels blasting through a door that looks exactly like the door on the Tantive.
I'm looking at the blast.
It looks exactly the same, doesn't it?
Yeah, can you see the little guy on the left? He appears to be the guy that's just got out of Ray's cell.
That's right, yeah. So this must be Ray here on the left-hand side of the image. And then you get the stormtroopers that are on the receiving end of the blast, and then the rebel troops come storming in. That's genius. That tonal sort of mirroring is genius, because that's telling people where they are, isn't it? This must be in the opening few minutes of the movie.
You think? I wonder if it's near the end.
Oh no, the breaking out of Ray. If you go on to the next image, you've got a rebel officer that's breaking Ray out. Now, we know he takes her into custody and then he delivers her to the Massassi Temple on the Yavin 4, because that's what we've seen so far in the other trailers, isn't it? And she's still cuffed. So he's busting her out now to take her to the rebellion, because they want her assistance. I'm not sure who this guy is, by the way.
Neither am I. It's kind of cool. It's got semi sort of Hoth fatigue. He's wearing.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Yeah. With a
little bit of Navy SEAL thrown in.
Yeah, the trapper hat and stuff. Yeah, it's really cool. Really looks good. All right, we'll jump on to the next one. So we get the shot of, you can see a teeny tiny U-wing in the middle there.
Yeah, very sort of Titans, Lord of the Rings kind of thing going on here.
Look at the formation on the. It looks like a Jedi.
Yeah, that's a saber. That's a lightsaber.
It's a lightsaber, isn't it? And then you've got what looks like a cloaked figure, almost Obi-Wan.
It is a little almost Obi-Wan.
So it's kind of.
And if you look behind, I'm just trying to work out, is there absolutely anything to be made from the rocks behind that as well? Not really, no.
No, they could be. It could very well be parts of another statue.
Yeah, almost looks foot-like one part, but I think
this is just very Titan-esque, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's
big time.
Telling us that Jedi has a history, doesn't it? It's definitely their sort of spiritual centre for the Jedi.
That's a nice image.
It's a great image, that. Really cool. Okay, moving on. Steve, your keys are very loud.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm trying to type lightly.
He's actually typing out the crawl.
Yeah, he's making his own. So the next shot, we're in the Massassi Temple, which looks a little bit nicer than the one we see in
I like the Aztec pyramid in the foreground.
That's great, isn't it?
The background, I beg your pardon.
Yeah, it's
that's
beautifully lit as well when that shot's actually
really smart.
in motion.
So it's either a sunrise or a set going. Probably a set. I mean, I don't know why. Even in space, you fight at night.
Yeah, she Jin looks like she's kitted out here, so I don't think this is her first time on the base, because when we see her in the previous trailer, her first time on the base, she's being led through by a rebel officer, and she's got her hands bound.
Yes, no,
she's got a kit bag on and stuff. So presumably they've already done a mission.
The mission's been applied in a nutshell.
You can go and vote now.
Okay, let me just get your.
You can get my thing up.
I'll get your tweet up.
It's up. The tweet
there
is up. I also added a bit extra on there, so it's now. I will read it to you. It is now. Should Rogue One have an opening crawl and a starting scene in space to keep with the traditions of the Star Wars saga? Yes, it's still Star Wars.
Great. I've just cast my vote, old chap, and I have retweeted you as well. So
it tells me in a moment or so that vote is going to be 50.
Yeah, that's suddenly there's always balance.
Yeah, there's always balance in the Force.
Right, let's jump back into these images in. So now Steve, you're going to need to play catch up here a little bit. We're on the shot where Cassian is talking to Jin in the bunker, and you've got the green panels behind them. And he's asking, this is the scene where he's asking, when was the last time you had a communication with your father?
Have you done the huge, great statue of a Jedi?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
It was stunning, wasn't it?
Because at first I thought, that's a normal-sized person, but why is the lightsaber fossilised? And I thought, oh, hang on a minute, that's not that 6 miles wide.
Yeah. You can see the
Wow,
tiny
that's
little ship giving
amazing.
it scale.
So that lends a lot of history towards this planet, doesn't it?
Jedi, yeah, it really does.
Awesome.
so
So where are you now, mate?
We're on Mon Mothma now. She's listening to Jin and Cassian discuss the significance of Galen, and they're saying that the Empire are using him to develop a super weapon.
She's striking, isn't she?
She really is striking, yeah.
Enigmatic.
Very, very regal. And Paul's just retweeted and commented on your thing. So the next image we're looking at is this dark and rainy.
Very alien.
Very alien.
It's very LV-426, isn't it?
When I saw it this morning, I also thought it reminded me a lot of Mustafar from.
Yes, it does indeed, sir.
From Revenge of the Sith, but then this outcropping, that's just a landing platform, and that's Krennic's shuttle, I'd later realised, where it looked like a vein of some sort, like a weather vane, when I first saw it earlier on today. But this is such a stunning and evocative thing. That used universe look is back, isn't it? Very, very dramatic stuff. That is awesome.
Yeah, I like the idea of it not being pristine. It's interesting.
Yeah. So the next shot we get really starts to thicken the plot.
Why is he wet?
I think it's probably rainy. We've heard.
You can see in that previous.
Yeah.
You can see in that previous shot. It's horrendous.
We've heard a lot of talk that Vader gets some action in a rainy setting. So this might be where we see Vader take a few names. But I love the look of Galen in this uniform. Even though it's very Steve, does this remind you of Star Trek?
Yeah,
very
somewhat.
much so.
You're a Trekkie,
Yeah.
aren't you? It looks like the Admiral's uniform, I think, from the earlier movies.
Yeah, it's I guess so.
But he's really in, isn't he? At this point, Galen's into the Empire.
Sorry.
Votes coming in, are they?
Yeah, I'm winning.
So we get another shot of Krennic as we move on. Clearly meaning business there. Perhaps they are at odds.
I'm just catching up now. I've gone back too far. Yeah, I can see what you mean. I went on to the wrong one looking at the Star Trek one, but I know what you mean. Yeah, because they've got their chest pins between the two colours.
Yeah.
Like either side.
That's right, yeah.
I was looking at the wrong one before. Yeah, very Star Trek.
So this next shot, the Death Star sort of rising up over this landscape, isn't that stunning? That's the header image of this post, I think.
No sign of the rings, so that kind of lends credence to the fact that probably was a different planet.
And this is probably Scarif, this one, I would imagine.
How much smaller than the second Death Star was the first one? Wasn't it like 6 times smaller or something?
It was considerable, yeah.
Considerably. Now, because it's still, when you think, in order to, like that Death Star in that picture is miles behind those clouds. I mean, hundreds of miles probably. But those clouds are a good 10 miles across in front of it. So you're talking about something that's colossal that didn't appear that colossal. I guess it did. It did appear colossal.
Yeah, when the Falcon gets really pulled into that main bay, you see that bay is actually bay is actually made up of like 10 other bays, and each of those bays is the size of like 40,000 garages.
And look at the size of the Star Destroyers when they're next to the Death Star in the earlier trailer when they're dropping the disc in. They were weeny little things, and then you see that thing dwarfing the city of Jeddah in this trailer, and in the other earlier trailers as well.
Yeah,
everything.
I guess
scale.
Because really, the Death Star doesn't need to be a planet in its own right, in the sense that that's where all the nasty people are going to live. We're going to operate from there. I think the Death Star is mainly housing a weapon.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why it's that big, and it's probably round for a certain reason. Well.
Yeah, I'm sure. Because it looks cool, probably, but I'm sure that I'm sure that there's another reason for it. But it's
generally from any moderate distance, it looks like a small planet and not a threat.
Yeah, small moon.
That's no moon.
So our next image is Cassian and Jin, looking dishevelled,
a little bit,
but also looking very, very cool. I need to move on. And they're having an exchange, but I can't remember what they're talking about.
Oh, cool. If you keep going backwards and forwards, you've got like a shoulder shot situation going on. It's very.
Oh yeah.
It's very much like the cafeteria scene in Heat.
Yeah, just a reverse shot. Yeah.
I keep doing it. Stop. Go to the next picture.
And then we get Bodhi Rook. So this is our Imperial. This guy's flipped, right? He's flipped over from the Empire. I wonder whether or not he's going to be a double agent or something. But Riz Ahmed says this guy's got a lot to put right. So this is his effort to put right everything that he's done wrong.
Well, he's the one that says Rogue One, isn't he?
He is. Oh God, that sent chills up my spine. That did. So next shot is Baze. This is Jin talking about putting a team together to go and get her father, right?
Yeah.
And Baze is in from the get-go asking how many people they need. And then the next image is Chirrut. Everyone's on board with this mission. I guess they're going to go even more rogue. So the next shot, we've seen this, and with the U-Wing taking off from Yavin 4. Although
it's cool. It's a total bastardized version of an X-Wing, isn't it? It's got an X-Wing cockpit, and it's got the X-Wing engines just bolted in the centre back instead of attached to the S-foils.
Yeah. I think it's
it might be
much
because it's
larger,
in atmosphere rather than, I don't know. Why would they want to do that?
I think it's a bit larger as well because it's a drop ship, this one, isn't it? So all those, like there's
not
a dozen
judging by
guys
that
in there.
cockpit.
That's 2 people wide. You'll see in a second. I think you see a shot of that's from I think that's the inside of the U-Wing. The next shot is Bodhi. This is the call sign Rogue One thing.
Yeah.
Although I did speculate today that I still think the shuttle Tidarium might come into play at some point, and that's being held back now, obviously, because it's going to be a really fun reveal if they do it. But wouldn't it be cool if they're on the shuttle Tidarium, and they need that to infiltrate, and the call sign that K2SO is asking, he's saying he's relaying a message that they're asking for a call sign, and Bodhi says the call sign is Rogue One. Wouldn't it be cool if that's the call sign that Han and Chewie transmitted to the Star Destroyer and Return the Jedi to get access to Endor?
An older code, sir, but it checks out.
Yeah, and if that's the code that they issue, Rogue One, because it's only like a couple of years later, isn't it?
How would you know that though? Because there's nothing that's not written anywhere, is it? What Chewie and Han used?
No.
But that would be cool though.
It would be really cool. I love that idea. I'm really, really married to that now. If they don't do it, I'm going to think they've missed an opportunity there.
Yeah. I don't think they will.
So,
but they obviously had more than 2 people vote because it's now 43-57.
Oh, cool.
So
that's going well.
That must mean there's divisible by 30.
You'll see your count on there, Steve.
Oh, 7 votes. Oh yeah, I can see it. Sorry.
So
eight now. And I'm starting to leave you guys behind.
What? No, it's only 7.
It's obviously reaching
8.
the wrong people.
I'm looking now. It's
what is
8.
wrong with people, Mark?
I don't understand, Steve. I don't.
I don't get it. I think the real Star Wars people haven't kicked in yet because they haven't heard the podcast. And when they do, they'll obviously go, of course, these guys know what they're talking about. Paul's a jumped up little oik. He doesn't believe in. No, I can't say it.
Yeah, no, don't. So
that's not true.
Our next image. Let's not go down that rabbit hole. Our next image is
very angry.
Krennic. Now, if Rob was here, he'd be wetting his pants.
I don't know. It's a bit of a blurry shot.
He loves Krennic.
He's lost his thumb.
He's really going for it. And
he's trying to find his strepsils. He's coughing. He's choking.
I'm not sure that he's choking probably because he's in the presence of Darth Vader.
He's not. He's shouting.
Did you notice Vader in this shot? In the first time you watched it? Because
maybe not.
I didn't.
I don't think he lost more than an hour second.
He's talking to somebody. He's not talking at Vader. When the scene plays out, he's talking to somebody with Vader.
Oh, okay. Actually, he's not looking at Vader there.
He's not looking at him. No, he's looking past him.
He's off the shoulder.
And I suspect that this might be a scene that contains Tarkin.
Oh,
and we're not seeing Tarkin. So if we move on one image, and you've got the shot from Celebration. You got Darth Vader hanging upside down. And then the next shot is a really gorgeous shot of that Death Star. A couple of TIE fighters sweeping in. That is just such a beautiful thing. And then, this next image, who on earth is this?
It's not Krennic, is it?
You can see Krennic in the background.
No. That's one of the rebels in Stolen Fatigue.
Do you think?
Yeah.
That's too blurry.
We saw him earlier, didn't we?
The Defender.
I don't know.
I don't know. In the next image, I'm sorry, I've gone too far ahead.
I think
I'm getting excited.
I've got a feeling that that might be the guy that's playing Tarkin, but without the CGI enhancement.
No, because it's far too. No, because cracky, he was an old man.
Yeah, but I'm saying that this is the body double, and they just haven't done the replacement yet.
Oh,
so this will be the shot. Like this is basically the plate.
Would they release that shot?
Well, they released the shot of Adam Driver in for The Force Awakens, where he stumbled into the woods and lit the lightsaber. And by the time that actually made it to the final cut of the film, it had changed considerably, hadn't it? So I'm wondering if this could be Tarkin coming into the room, because I'm pretty sure that just right at the centre of frame in the background, out of focus, is Krennic, because that's the guy in white. I don't think this is Krennic because he's not wearing the cloak.
I
think.
Sorry, I'm zooming past, and is it him? How many pictures ahead of you am I? Oh, it's all stopped.
We'll get there. So the next shot is an overhead. The next shot is an overhead shot of what looks like Jeddah from the Death Star. Because you've got the Death Star commander up in that control pod thing that we've seen in the first movie and in Return of the Jedi. So
they got a handrail this time.
He didn't need a handrail because he's inside that sort of basket of tech.
So what's that at the back? Is that a monitor, a large monitor screen?
Yeah, it's a window, isn't it? Like the targeting window, which we see Tarkin.
Oh.
That's where Tarkin has Leia when they blow up Alderaan.
Yes.
Yeah, but you don't see that side of it, do you? You don't actually see
when you pick through it very briefly.
You can see the guys. You can see these control pod things.
And you don't see that huge, great 135 monitor, do you?
You see, yeah. That's where she watches Alderaan explode, yeah.
I thought that was like out of a window.
Yeah, I think that's what this is. It's kind of like almost like the bridge of the Enterprise. So it's probably not a window. It's probably
that looks
like a big
the
view screen.
Topology, landscape topology from like mountains and that, doesn't it?
Yeah, where they're hanging. They're hanging right over Jeddah, aren't they? Because this is when this I'm assuming is when the Death Star's inverted.
Yeah. Now this really annoys me.
What, the next image?
Why? No, this is my only gripe. And it does mean that you can have a podcast on one hand, but it also means that you end up ruining the entire film for yourself because you can figure out the whole film from this trailer.
Yeah, they're definitely going to fire on Jeddah, aren't they? Definitely.
Yeah.
And we do see it. We saw
we
it
said
in the other
that, what, 3-4 months ago?
Yeah. We kind of worked it out and we pieced it together a couple of months ago. So the next shot.
Wait. Do you want a theory on that?
What's this, mate? On the Death Star?
Yeah.
Go on, what?
Can we assume that Galen's still on Death Star at this point?
Possibly.
Overseeing, probably.
I'm actually, he's no, forget me. Right, move on.
Well, I mean, the only thing that could happen is that they obviously, like Paul said, they infiltrate the Death Star using their own clothes, and that could be someone in that image, which makes sense. And then they stop this from happening. Galen's obviously puts a spanner in the works, probably literally, in his own machine, because he knows how to stop it. And maybe Alderaan is the first ever test, and this never happened. But then, what's the big explosion at the end?
Yeah,
or is it?
Like I said a couple of months ago when we first saw that Death Star hanging over Jeddah, I reckon that they'll probably test fire that in the way that it was designed to be used, which is destroy the atmosphere. Don't destroy the planet itself, but just destroy the atmosphere and make it inhabitable. But the uninhabitable. But the thing that Tarkin does to Alderaan is turn it up to 11, just to show you that he's a proper crank. And this will reframe Tarkin as a real extremist when you see this film, and then it puts A New Hope into stark relief.
Because it kind of is the only problem with doing a sequel prequel, isn't it? You kind of know that what's his name? The guy with the strepsils.
Krennic.
Krennic. He dies.
No, you don't.
Well, I mean,
you know he's not around, but he could be.
You know he's not around. Which
he could be expelled.
Yeah, really.
Sent to Gulag.
Yeah, I think there's a shot coming up that I think probably adds weight to your claims there, Steve. So the next shot, this Rebel hangar with the Death Star hologram.
It looks tiny there, the Death Star. There's no way that's 6 times more than the big one. It's like 3 feet across.
Yeah. It's awesome, though.
Weenie.
And you've got another guy in the background there, just to the right of the Death Star, behind Cassian, who's wearing Captain Picard's jacket.
He is, yeah.
They're cross-pollinating Star Trek and Star Wars. This looks like it's straight out of the first Star Wars movie, doesn't it, this shot? These guys, everyone's cast so well. The old guys, they look just the part.
You almost expect her to say, 1 million boffins died to bring us this information.
She won't, because that's her line in a couple of movies' time. So we'll move on. You've got more Rebels. Mon Mothma doing a thing. You've got
We're
a couple
creeping
of other...
back up, Mark, on the poll. Just keep you there. Keep you in
okay,
the
yeah, keep us posted, mate. So you've got more dignitaries. These look like officials now from sort of the Imperial Senate. These guys in robes and this lady with the gold hood up. Everyone's kind of losing hope here. And this is when Jin gives a little speech about how rebellions are built on hope.
Is it in this room?
That was there, yeah.
Okay.
There's another shot, I think, of Jin where it cuts to her saying, "We've got hope, and rebellions built on hope." Next
a
shot,
new hope.
Yeah, a new hope. The next shot is what I'm assuming is Jeddah. And you got these streets where you got the stormtroopers, chicken walkers. And then you got that little guy Moroff. You know the guy that looks like a Wookiee crossed with a Yeti in the with all that heavy artillery on. He's got a big backpack. It looks so cool. Every inch of the frame's packed with stuff to just look at, isn't it? And then our next shot is Saw Gerrera, or what's left of him. He's not looking too healthy.
Yeah, it was interesting. We were talking about the before and after. On him many casts ago, and I think we're all of the conclusion that something's happened to him, and I think we've been proven right for once.
Where he's lost most of his limbs.
Yeah, he's got his
right arm.
Darth Maul type leg situation going on.
Yeah. And this whole thing looks like an iron lung, so he's a bit of a cross between Maul and Vader, isn't he? Next shot, you can really see him in all his glory. A bit like Buzz Lightyear's costume. And moving on to the next one, that's Jin's line about how rebellion is built on hope. She's trying to impress upon the dignitaries, probably that they need to get behind the rebellion and support it now, which is what Mon Mothma has been trying to do since Revenge of the Sith era. We'll jump forward to the next one. You got Cassian saying you got to make these 10 men feel like 100 men, and this is Jin giving a speech to inspire. And Donnie Yen looks like he might be nodding off.
Which one dies?
Or he's squeezing one out.
Donnie dies, doesn't he?
I think so.
Well, we know, yes.
Spoiler talk.
Well, they do, because it was that wasn't privy to only us. That was out in the whole.
Was it?
Yeah.
They did cut it out of the YouTube video.
Yeah, but it was out then.
It was out already, and it's too late. So next shot is Scarif, the Imperial Research Facility on Scarif, which looks incredible. The Maldives. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Really fantastic.
That me, or can you? I don't think this planet's very big, because I swear I can see the curvature of that planet. on that picture.
Yeah, possibly. Could just be the lens. Just simulating the CinemaScope lens. That does that.
Oh, they're an indoor.
Yeah, the next thing is this is very sort of Vietnam-esque, isn't it? With the troops running through that forest. Really cool. Oh, and then is this the shot you were talking about, Paul? Where
That's
you got
the shot I was
people
talking about.
infiltrating
Yeah,
the
look what he's wearing.
facility. Yeah. That's
No,
Cassian.
he's not the same guy that was in the previous shot.
He's got longer hair, I think, this chap, hasn't he?
Yes, he does.
And we see the reverse shot of there. He looks kind of weird to me in that uniform as well, Cassian. And not as weird as Felicity Jones looks in that Imperial Gunner's suit. But that droid is really impressive, and I've got to get me one of those.
Got a life size.
Oh, as big as possible. And then we're back to the rain. So wherever this planet is, we've got Baze and Chirrut. We've seen some of this before, where they're in the perfect position to start picking off the stormtroopers, aren't they?
Is he hovering over a dead body, the guy on the right?
It does look like there's something laying there, doesn't it?
I'm trying to see what it is. It looks like... No.
Could just
Very
be equipment, I guess.
It's just stuff.
Good. I need to see it when the scene's moving to see what that is.
The next shot is a bunch of rebels from Saw Gerrera's group. This is the guy they called Edrio Two Tubes.
What about the guy behind him?
That's his egg mate, apparently. God, I hate that stuff. But yeah, these guys are pretty cool. I love these character designs.
Is it me, or is that gun on the right got a wonky barrel?
It does look like it's a little bit knackered.
It does look a bit.
There's no way that's firing.
They remind me of Kanji Club from The Force Awakens for some reason. I don't know why. Next shot is Chirrut kicking Stormtrooper butt.
I think he's just about to clonk him over the back of the head.
Yeah. And then we see...
Behind you!
This is obviously Chirrut bitten off a bit more than he can chew, and Baze bails him out by blasting every single one of these stormtroopers.
Again, I want you to read all the markings on doors in the archway as soon as possible, please, Mark. Tell what they say.
I'll see if I can. I'll see if I can get that. It doesn't look like. It doesn't look like the usual font. The Aurebesh. It looks slightly different.
Well, it's your job to translate. So
perhaps I'll get Rob on it when he comes back. Next shot is Baze with that downed X-wing fighter. I wonder if they came in on that X-wing fighter. These two guys. That would be cool. And then we've got another big battle. More X-wing fighters and explosions. This just looks like Star Wars, doesn't it? It looks fantastic. And then Baze just out Chewieing Chewie with his big old crossbow.
What is that enormous, colossal station they're flying through? Sorry, I'm about 2 shots ahead. I beg your pardon.
Okay, let's just move on then. So Baze has got a big bowcaster.
The end of Phantom Menace.
That's a cool bowcaster, actually. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I think this must be some sort of space station then, clearly. Unless it's a ship. But it looks like a space station to me. But the X-Wings are attacking, yeah?
Well, you don't need an orbiting, like a spinny centrifugal station, because they've got artificial gravity. So it's kind of a disc by accident, not by design, I think.
Maybe this is the core of the next Death Star.
Yeah, or maybe it's the top of a tower that comes out of the planet.
Yeah, I guess it could be, couldn't it?
Like some way of, like a space elevator to get the items up to build the Death Star.
No, that's a really cool idea. That's actually it's a slice of the Death Star.
Yeah, it could be. I mean,
it's too small though, isn't it? It's not big, is it? It doesn't look that big.
What are the chances that the second Death Star is already being built somewhere off in secret, and it's near completion because we're only a couple of years away, right?
That's true. I mean, why?
This might be the third.
In the Great Contact film, why build one when you can build two at twice the price?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I don't think they were really worried about the cost here. So the next shot we get X-wing fighter pilot. That's great.
That's so big. Pig Porky, whatever his name is. What do they call him?
Porkins.
Porkins.
It is just, it's the same but different, isn't it? It's just similar enough. Awesome. I love the individuality of those designs.
It came from behind. That's the best one ever.
Carry on, Star Wars. Next shot is a bunch of stormtroopers being blown up, which is
Skyfox Night.
Best way for them to go. And this is what I suspect could be the end of the movie. This with K2SO at the controls of this ship. Wouldn't surprise me if he's the only one that gets out and he has to get the plans back to Bail Organa.
Why is there rain on the windshield though if they're in the Death Star?
No, this is on that planet, I would think.
On that planet,
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And that's the Imperial Research Facility. It looks like.
Do you reckon all of the characters die, including
Jin? Yeah, I think so.
Reckon?
It wouldn't surprise me.
Well, that would lend a lot of darkness to the movie because apparently, did you ever discuss the previews that were seen?
I don't think any previews have been seen, Steve.
No, was that all rubbish then? That someone said it was it wasn't dark, and they'd made it. Disney
don't show their films to people like that. It's not something Disney or Lucasfilm do, so I think that's probably.
So even in the absence of previews, was there any truth to that they have lightened it up a bit?
There's talk that there was some concern over the tone. But I don't we won't know until this comes out, will we? And then we'll get to see it, and we'll get to see what the concerns are or were, if there are any. Okay, next shot is this greeny, looks like a shuttle craft of some type. Not sure who these characters are in the foreground.
Isn't it an Imperial
shuttle?
And then the wings going up, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, so similar design to Krennic's, isn't it? It just looks a bit smaller. Next shot is all the rogues, all tooled up, looking very Magnificent Seven, or what's the Dirty Dozen?
Similar to one of the very first photos we saw probably a year ago.
Yeah. And then we get
the big Kahuna.
That is such a fantastic shot.
It's great, isn't it?
Well, is that basically that city from afar getting destroyed? I can't see any buildings in that.
Oh, no.
Debris.
Yeah.
Well, I think isn't that a Star Destroyer combing through the ground?
It could be, couldn't it?
What, in the back bit?
It's the same. It's the right sort of shape,
there
isn't
it? There is. It's
a triangular sort of shape.
Yeah, I thought that was. That's what I instantly thought it was.
I think
more importantly, left-hand side, Macquarie even did rocks.
Oh yeah,
it's the Macquarie Arch.
yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, it absolutely is. That we saw on.
To me, that was a given. That was a Star Destroyer coming into the ground.
I'm going to have to watch that scene.
It does look like.
Well, you can see. What's the back bit of the Star Destroyer called?
The back.
The sticky up bit. That does look like one side of it, doesn't it? Now, if that's the case, Mark, that would completely debunk the idea that perhaps they don't fire the weapon and Dantooine, whatever it's called, is the first place. Tatooine is the first place. Alderaan is the first place that gets destroyed.
I really should have checked your qualifications, shouldn't I?
Endor.
Should I be taking references? Right, then the next shot is the money shot. The Dark Lord himself. And he is entering this room with a sense of purpose.
I'm not concerned about him in this story.
Vader?
Yeah, honestly.
I don't think he's a particularly big part of it either.
I really don't mind if he's not at all, because it's the rogues that interest me the most.
Yeah.
It's always going to go back to that teaser trailer we saw with the screaming and the shouting and the guns and the raw war, that kind of situation. So, I mean, he's an added bonus, obviously, and he's naturally a bridge.
Yeah.
Beyond the bridge sort of thing. But for me, this really comes down to the gritty element that we're waiting for.
Is Krennic about to get killed here?
There's certainly going to be a confrontation.
It looks like it, doesn't it? I mean, Vader's coming in at a rate of knots as well.
I wonder if this is his entrance scene.
It's either Vader's entrance or Krennic's exit.
I wonder if Vader is pissed because Krennic's just undermined them and put that spanner in.
Yeah, it could be. I think
and
he
ruined
knows
all that work.
I think he'll find out in this film that Krennic's trying to get into the Emperor's good graces and work around Vader.
Looking at the floor around them, Mark,
Yeah.
with that grid, that circular grid, is that the same room that we looked at, what you thought was a Bacta tank? Because it's not right behind him where that bright column would be, right?
Yeah, I guess it could be.
And I'm wondering is he protecting that or I don't know, just speculating.
The floor looks a lot like the carbon freezing chamber from Empire. And I've been speculating that this tank might have either what's left of Galen in it, or since seeing this trailer today and seeing that we actually get a shot of Galen in what we can assume is the Rogue One time period, I wonder whether that tank contains Lyra, his wife, Jin's mum, and if she's being held in stasis or something. If she's almost been carbon frozen.
I don't think it's the same room, mate.
That's a shame. It's awesome though, all the same. But I still think that there's a chance that she might be in that tank, and that's what he's using to manipulate Galen. And the next shot we get is Galen on his knees in the rain. So is this following on from that shot where we saw Ben Mendelsohn's, like Director Krennic's shuttle on that landing platform in that rainy scene? Putting Galen in his place.
Yeah.
Looks like it might fit, doesn't it?
I was just watching the bit where the explosion happens, and there is movement.
Yeah, there is movement. That's why I thought what I thought, mate.
Cool.
The sticky uppy bit.
The next shot of Jin is the one we saw in Celebration Sizzle Reel, where she
very clever.
says,
Can you see her eyes? Yeah, the lights are circling her pupils in that shot.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It's well lit, isn't it?
I think it's accidental, but it looks really good on her left-hand side.
Yeah.
Her left-hand side, not yours.
This is the May the Force be with us.
Yeah.
Speechifying, isn't it? Yeah. Really cool. Next shot is Saw. So this is his, I love this line. Save the rebellion, save the dream. This guy is in pain, isn't he? He's spent his whole life fighting this empire.
And he's broken cyborg.
Yeah. And
you kind of know from the outset that most of these characters aren't going to make it, don't you?
Yeah. This character's got a wonderful history, though, because his sister, he and his sister were trained by Anakin to be insurgents. And his sister gets killed and sets him on the path that he's on when we see him in this movie. And that's all in the animated shows. So this character's coming to the screen with a rich history anyway. So it's really, really compelling stuff. And then this is the last couple of shots now, I think, isn't it? Or is that the last?
Yeah.
Yeah, the final shot is the battle for Scarif.
That looks really cool.
Where we've got our Y-wing, our U-wing coming in to drop troops, and we've got 80 ACTs loaded and unloaded. Just having a little paddle in the ocean there.
Just getting their toes.
Just getting their toes with the sides up like that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
You know full well that what a rebellion ship's going to fly through one of those openings, don't you?
Oh, that would be cool, wouldn't it?
I just did a cheat, Mark.
Yeah.
Watching the trailer itself.
Yeah.
And that one shot where you see Krennic appears to be shouting, actually looks like he's shouting at the big guy.
Really?
Yeah.
He is
so
bold.
He's in charge.
It really does look like he's shouting at the big man. So.
Well, remember, Vader wasn't exactly in charge in A New Hope.
No, he wasn't.
He had
He was
Vader
very
holding
much-
his leash, so...
Can I throw something out there?
Yeah, do it.
No.
Like, we're going to have... Vader might not be the only Force sensitive person in this film, why could Krennic not be Force sensitive? Like, why could he not be Vader's sort of superior in the Force?
Yeah, I guess he could. I doubt it, but I guess he could.
Wouldn't that also know where Jin's father's getting tortured or whatever? That looks like a Force choky type brainy hurty thing that is someone's doing to him. Why couldn't that be Krennic?
You've got all of the answers. Yeah, no, you're right.
Yeah.
It could be that. I mean, all bets are off at this stage. I think it's unlikely, but yeah, all bets are off.
Mark, you need to retweet, quote tweet our thing because we're only 5 points behind.
Okay, we'll get to that in a sec. What we're going to do quickly then is we're going to go. I think we might have to drop the news tonight, gents. Looking at the way the time's going, what we'll do is we're going to go to a quick break so that we can pimp a few bits out. And then when we come back, we'll get into a question from Connor and Leo, our newly knighted Connor. Okay, we'll be right back. If you'd like to support what we do here at Talk Star Wars, you can do so by becoming a TSW sponsor. For as little as £1 per month given securely via PayPal, you can help us keep the lights on here at TSW. When you become a TSW sponsor, we will elevate you to VIP status. As a TSW VIP, you'll get access to an exclusive stream that provides you with fun downloads like HD wallpapers for your desktop, tablet and mobile device, ringtones and text alerts courtesy of our very own audio Jedi at Rob Wade Vision. You'll also receive a monthly newsletter with news about what's going on here at Talk Star Wars, and you'll get a priority release of the new Star Wars audio commentary series called TSW Feature Comms. All this for as little as £1 per month. Head to talkstarwars.co.uk/support and become a TSW sponsor today, and the Force will be with you always. And we're back, and as we like to do after our breaks, we always come back to Connor's Corner, newly knighted Connor, Knight of the Commonwealth. I'll explain that to you later, Steve. So Connor's letter this week starts, "Hello, gents. First things first, thank you very much for the knighthood. I'm so pleased to be a part of an exclusive club, though the acronym Knights of the Commonwealth, KOC, needs to be looked at." We didn't think that through, did we? Don't say it, Steve. All joking aside, thank you. I can honestly say that I truly love being a part of this show. Anyway, I've had this question on my topics list for the show, but I've moved it up because of something I read this week. It dropped a day after Leo, my Padawan, had talked about it to me on the drive home Tuesday night. So here goes. We've seen synthetic limbs in Star Wars. Luke's hand, Anakin's arms, Maul's legs, and to a full extent, Vader himself. So we left Finn at the end of episode 7 with a serious spinal injury, which surely will have to be addressed in the next film, albeit only briefly. For a full explanation, all we need is a glimpse of a newly fixed, possibly robotic spine. Do you think this could usher in a whole new generation of augmented characters? Now, we've had this with Grievous in episode 3, an extreme version, I know, but think about it. Finn coming back fully repaired with a little bit of extra oomph. The reason I ask is the whole unfinished business with Phasma that Phasma has with Finn. These two are bound to have a showdown, and the idea of Finn and Phasma fighting could be great. The first true good versus evil non-lightsaber fight. We know the guys from the raid have been in The Force Awakens, and there's no way they haven't been asked to choreograph a fight scene for episode 8. Now, I'm not talking martial arts or wire fu, good, because they do not have a place in Star Wars. I'm not talking martial arts or wire fu here, but a good old case of close quarters fisticuffs in the interior of a ship and a very confined space. Does this fit with Star Wars? I don't know, but as always, I'll be interested in what you fine gentlemen have to say about it, and of course, where you take the topic, which is always good because one of you always likes to touch paper, and off you go. Thanks a lot, guys. Sir Connor, Knight of the Commonwealth, may the Force be with you. P.S. My congrats to Ads, also the first Knight of the Commonwealth. Right.
Well, first cop, yeah.
Yeah, so we've got Finn coming back from a serious injury at the end of Force Awakens.
Very very good timing on this question, by the way.
Yeah, because that came out, didn't it, about the Bacta suit this week?
Yeah, well, I'm also thinking of what we just with Saw Gerrera.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
He was 80% cyborg, as
Absolutely,
we just said.
yeah.
So.
He's another really good example. Yeah, that's a good point, actually, Paul. What are the chances of him coming back with some sort of robotic augmentation?
Just tell us he's got a synthetic spine or something. I don't think it's going to turn him into any kind of Captain America situation.
I think he was forced. He was in forced coma state, wasn't he? Before, while they
was it in forced
him.
coma?
I think so. He gave that impression that he wasn't exactly. Well, maybe he was in an unconscious state still, but I bet you they're repairing him in some way. Now, whether that's spinal or not, because the aim, or what's the word, with the lightsaber that Kylo did was kind of up at a diagonal across his back, wasn't it? So it would have severed his spine. I mean, those things can cut through 6-foot metal doors, can't they?
Yes,
as seen in Episode 1. So they're going to lop through his spine like
a knife through butter, yeah.
A knife through butter. So, I don't know if it's a contentious issue at all. I think it's probably a certainty, isn't it, that you'll have to address how they fixed him up.
Well, there's a news story later on. If we get to it, I don't know if we'll get to it or not because the clock's ticking. But there's a news story this week that suggests that Finn will start this movie in a Bacta suit, like a bubble suit, that they cut him out of and he comes out fully healed. I think that's the story that Connor was referring to that bumped this up his list of questions to ask. But thinking about it, I mean, if you remember back to the release of The Force Awakens and everyone fell in love with Finn, they fell in love with Rey, and we started hearing rumours that they were readdressing the script for 8 to boost those characters' parts up. Do you remember that?
Mm.
And we were looking at possible characters being dropped from the scripting stage to make room for more Rey and more Finn content. So I wonder whether or not Finn was initially designed to be coming back in 8 at all, really. And maybe this whole Bacta suit thing is a way to speed that along and get him back into action because they want him on screen.
Well, maybe
again.
they left it ambiguous at the end of 7. Like, think, right, let's see how his character is received. We've got him on a slab at the moment. We can bring him back or we can kill him off.
Yeah.
What do you think, Paul?
Don't know. Honestly, don't know.
Thanks. That's all.
Seriously, I've got.
What about the whole Phasma thing?
Phasma thing sounds
the unfinished
sounds
business.
like a really good idea. I don't know about old style fisticuffs. I want to see him pick up a weapon of some description.
Because there's a score to settle there, isn't there, between the two of them? Could this be something that goes on?
I can tell you what, it'd be cool to see those two saber versus saber stick thing again.
You can't go fisticuffs, and this sounds really sexist, and I don't mean it like this, but outside of Star Wars now, you can't go around hitting a woman, which is perfectly acceptable.
Yeah, but there's nothing
don't tell
stopping.
Donald Trump that.
What are you talking about? She's the head of a squadron.
She could crush him.
Yeah, but I don't think the film is that sort of non-family orientated that you can
bring it on. Bring it on, I say.
No, you can't punch Phasma.
But you were talking about fisticuffs. It's got. I mean, no offense to Connor, but like the first true good versus evil non-lightsaber fight. But don't forget how Leia took out Jabba.
Yeah, but that's different. That's non-humanoid. You can't. It's
I
never
see
going to work
Phasma as a
with the
stormtrooper.
ratings.
I see Phasma as a suit.
Yeah,
but even the ratings-wise, you're going to be up in the rating if you start punching.
I don't think I love where Connor's coming from with this, but I think that it might be a cat and mouse thing with them two, where it'd be a relationship similar to Han's with Boba Fett, where she's constantly pursuing him, and almost a bit like Vader. Remember in Empire Strikes Back when Vader walks into the hangar on Hoth, he just gets there as the Falcon shoots out the cave. And it's almost like just nearly there. And I imagine that'll be
hyperdrive.
What we'll see is Phasma almost catching up to Finn and never quite getting there. That would be a nice thing for them to draw out a little bit, just playing around in the background. But augmented, I think with the report this week that he's going to have a Bacta suit, that might be it. I don't know whether Whether that diminishes,
or whether it's augmented or not. That's the point, isn't it?
yeah, I don't see it personally. I don't see him being augmented technologically. I think he's going to be healed the way they healed Luke in Empire, but I don't necessarily think that he's going to have any mechanical parts. I think they're going to do their stuff with the Bacta and get him back into action, and then they'll treat him a little bit. The writers will treat him a little bit
It's
more.
very wanted. James
I think it's a
Yeah,
cool
yeah.
idea.
McAvoy in a
though.
pool for
Yeah,
overnight.
yeah. Healing.
It'd be very good. It would be a nice little sort of tangent to go off on if he did have some augmentation there. I think it's a good idea. I don't know if they've thought of it. Is the thing.
Yeah, because we've seen a fair bit of it, and it becomes quite commonplace. And when I was reading Connor's question, I started to wonder whether or not, and I think actually it's in the news story as well, whether we get to it, about how this sort of diminishes the sacrifice that was made by Finn. If you just say, "Oh, we'll just stick him in one of these suits and it's done," he hasn't really
Yeah.
paid much of a price. And also, does it take away any of the peril that these characters are in? If you think, oh well, look, like Anakin lost an arm in the Attack of the Clones, and by the time he got married, he had a little metal one. So what's to lose, really?
Can I throw something else in the mix then?
Yeah, do it.
What if he's disabled? What if they can't fix him and he's on some sort of hover thing?
Well, that would be really bold, because of the restrictions that puts on the production. That would be really, really bold. That's like having one of your principals under layers and layers of makeup throughout.
But it would be incredibly politically correct to have, you're already talking about people's sexuality in Star Wars, and why not try and use it as a way of, sort of making that normal,
making it more inclusive,
and perfectly acceptable and inclusive. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, that's certainly one way of looking at it, and that's a way I guess you can kind of look at Saw Gerrera's involvement in Rogue One. But we have seen footage of maybe not John Boyega, I think it was his stunt double on a Dubrovnik set, and he didn't look like he was. He looked like he was back to the Finn we saw in The Force Awakens.
To the end of Force Awakens,
yeah,
it's actually interesting, something we've never spoken about before, that obviously lightsabers can go through a 2-foot tree and they'll fall down. Now, Kylo Ren would have only ever deliberately not killed Finn, because he must have angled that saber so it just went deep into the skin, put him out cold. Because any sort of slight deviance from that would have meant you'd chop him in half.
Yeah. I think there was an element of cat and mouse to that relationship, wasn't there? That he was toying with Finn, playing with him. Like, a lot of people have said, "Oh, how can a stormtrooper who's never used a lightsaber, doesn't have the Force, how can he hold his own with a Sith Lord or whatever?" But the way to look at that is that
he was injured.
He was
Kylo.
Kylo was playing with Finn, and he was allowing him to get a little bit deeper into this fight than he really had any business. And then the second he landed one blow on Kylo, and the second he did, Kylo just put him down. It probably wasn't his intention to kill him because reasons, and one of them is most likely if he'd have done that, he probably would have unleashed something in Rey that he couldn't handle.
For himself.
We saw Rey.
He didn't want released yet.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's already killed his dad by that point, hasn't he? He's released just about everything he's got to release. But if he'd have set Rey off in a way,
minor detail,
he struggled controlling her as it was in that duel, didn't he? If he'd have pushed her too far towards the dark side, he may not have come out of that at all. So, I'm not saying that is what happened. It seems like a reasonable explanation for why he didn't kill Finn. It also, I guess, putting him down like that gave him a way out if he needed it, because she would have been preoccupied with Finn and trying to protect him. It gives Kylo an exit route, doesn't it? But maybe we'll see a bit more of this. But to answer Connor's question directly from my perspective, I don't expect Finn to be augmented in any way. I think that's kind of preserved for the heroes of these stories. But I do think that they're going to do their bit with this Bacta thing to get him back to full fitness and ready to go for episode 8. And you guys, are you with me on that one?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay.
It's hard to tell what's going to happen with this one. There's not enough.
We haven't seen enough yet, have we? It's too early, far too early. All right, let's get to our. We've been talking about Twitter polls all night. Let's get to our. Yeah, thank you, Connor and Leo. Let's get to our Twitter poll question from last week. We got the results are in. On the subject of Kylo Ren, last week's question was: could Kylo Ren actually be the good guy deep undercover trying to get to Snoke? So this came off the back of an article that came out where someone was suggesting that Ben Solo was actually an agent working for Luke, and everything he did in The Force Awakens was in service of getting to Snoke.
Including kill his old man?
Including killing his dad, yeah.
I'll buy that.
It was a somewhat ridiculous theory online, but I thought I'd throw it out there because people like Kylo Ren. They like to get involved with these things. So you had 3 options. Yes, he's an agent. No, don't be stupid. And this is a twist too much. So we had 85 votes. And the tweet went out to just shy of 2,000 people. 45% said this is a twist too much. So I don't think that I didn't have any investment in that rumour at all. That article seemed somewhat ridiculous to me to suggest that was where that would go. But clearly people don't want it. We want our bad guys to be clearly defined, apparently.
Can we just consider that an 81% situation rather than a 36 and a 45?
Yes, yeah, because they're kind of the same. Kind of the same thing, aren't they? Yeah, so
it's
yes,
important.
Yes, as an agent, got 19%. That's another way of looking at it. All right, next week's Twitter poll then. Let me just call up my draft so I can post this. This was from Connor also. Well, I built this onto Connor's suggestion. It's about lightsabers. So this week we're going back to a classic. Choose your favourite lightsaber. So you've got the original and, in my opinion, best, the Skywalker lightsaber, which is blue.
Have you just told us your vote?
Nope, I'm not voting. I'm abstaining. Then we've got Ahsoka Tano's from Star Wars Rebels, which are white. She has 2.
You get 2.
She gets 2. Darth Maul, his red twin-bladed lightsaber, or Mace Windu's purple. But feel free to quote the tweet and place in there your option if you prefer something else. Don't feel you are restricted to the movies if you want to bring something in from another animated series or expanded universe stuff. Just have fun with it. Right, I am going to post this now. If I can find my tweet button, there it goes. Right, that is out now, and I'm pinning it to our profile.
Mark, you'll be happy to know we just pushed into the lead.
Oh,
that was ages ago.
54% to 46. No, in the last 2 minutes.
No, it wasn't. I mean, I sent
days, Steve.
That
early days.
10:05, Steve. Look at the text.
Oh, I hadn't seen your text. Sorry, mine was just updated.
10:05. Right, should we get into a couple of bits of? Let's try and do
your tweet's not come through.
It will.
Yeah,
it's out there.
Mine,
Won't turn over.
Right.
Yeah, mine not getting it either.
Let's just do a couple of Star Wars news bits before we wrap up for the evening. So we've already discussed the Finn thing from episode 8, so there's no real need to go into that. Let's talk about Star Wars Rebels. I know you guys haven't watched Rebels. The new season started a couple of weeks ago. I'm 2 episodes in, and it's actually really very, very good. Basically, Darth Maul's a key fixture in this series, and he's come after the Rebels. Looking at the spoilers for Rebels, by the way. If you're not interested, then you might as well bail out of this episode now because we're not going to be around for much longer. Maul goes after a couple of holocrons. So there's a Jedi holocron and a Sith holocron, and we learn in this episode of Rebels that if you get these two artifacts together, you see everything. Right? This goes to what we've been talking about for a while, about the grey, about the mid-ground between dark side and light. If you bring these two holocrons together, you get absolute clarity of vision, and you see things that others don't because they're limited by dogma or whatever their narrow visions are. And this episode wraps up with Darth Maul and one of the lead characters, Ezra, sharing a vision through this merged holocrons. And the thing they see, extremely exciting. Darth Maul sees hope. He says he's looking for hope in his vision. And Ezra says he sees twin suns. And then Maul says he's alive and jumps in the ship and takes off. Now, it looks very much like they're booting up the expanded universe story of Maul facing off against Obi-Wan on Tatooine.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a little bit of bridging going on there.
This is going to be fantastic because that means that this series might be in the service of closing the story of Darth Maul down, and we'll see Obi-Wan and possibly even the young Luke. Not too much younger because it's only a couple of years before New Hope now.
Mark, are you standing by the sea, by the way?
No, I think that's interference coming from Steve's end.
Okay.
I was rubbing the top of my iPad. Actually.
No. It just sounds like white noise, Steve.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's gone. It's gone.
But how cool does that sound?
That's interesting bridge.
Really interesting.
That
Really
sounds
interesting.
awesome. And I don't even like that. But I think that sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I'm really looking forward to seeing it, to see where they take it. Because obviously, with my fascination with Obi-Wan, I would like to get some insight of what's going on before.
At this point of the story, gives you an idea where they are on the timeline in relation to the movies, then, doesn't it?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Maul's still around sort of a year
closer than I thought.
A year or so before Rogue One, basically.
Yeah, in a nutshell, yeah.
Yeah. So, when you start weaving all of these things together that you consume, like Ahsoka and everything that happens at the end of Season 2 of Rebels, the Vader we've just seen in the trailer for Rogue One today, those two events are very, very close together. When he and Ahsoka face off at the end of Season 2 of Rebels, those things are so close now. They're starting to become really tangible, the way these things knit together. It's really awesome. Last thing, and then we'll bail out tonight because there's a couple of other things. If you download the show notes, you'll get some of the news stories that we've had to drop this evening for time reasons. But the last thing is about Ahsoka's lightsabers. Do you remember a couple of weeks ago someone asked us why they were white? I think it might have been Corey. That interference is back, Steve. Is that you again?
No, it's not me.
No? Okay.
Gone again.
That's weird, isn't it? Yeah, a couple of weeks ago we had a question, I think it was from Corey over at Tumbling Saber, about Ahsoka Tano's lightsabers and why they were white. She has two lightsabers and why they were white.
You've researched this, haven't you?
It came out this week.
Oh, you didn't research this?
I didn't know. It came to me. A book came out this week called Ahsoka, which tells the story set between the Clone Wars and her return in Star Wars Rebels. Where she comes back as like this spy and she's involved with setting up the rebellion. And she's left the Jedi, or she's been kicked out of the Jedi, and survived Order 66 just about. So she's out on the run, really, trying to keep her head down. And in this book, she goes up against one of Darth Vader's Inquisitors, which are like sort of Sith Lord apprentices, basically. And there's a bunch of girls and there's a bunch of dudes with red lightsabers, and they've all kind of got numbers. So she goes up against the sixth brother, this Inquisitor. It's all in Rebels, this stuff. It's quite a deep cut. But she apparently beats him and takes his lightsaber. All the lightsabers that the Inquisitors use are twin-bladed ones. And she takes the crystals from his lightsaber once she's defeated him and uses them to build her own lightsabers. But the fascinating thing is the crystals change colour when she puts them in her
I was
weapon.
just about to ask you that. Well, the crystal is the Jedi, yes, to a degree.
To a degree, yeah. Because
it's like Harry Potter wands almost.
exactly when the Jedi select their crystals, they go on a little trial, and then the crystals call to them, and then they have the crystals and they build their weapons, place the crystals in their weapons. So there should be a bond between them. We saw that on screen with Rey in The Force Awakens. The crystal called to her as she had the vision. That was her trial in a way.
I wonder if they all go through that.
I think they do. It was explored a little bit in the Clone Wars.
Quite traumatic, really, for a kid.
It's pretty cool. But this Ahsoka taking these crystals and having them change colour changes everything for me. The way I was looking at the way these crystals work. Because I always just thought, they were a specific colour, and the Jedi just took them and placed them in their weapon, then they got a blue blade or a green blade. And now this makes me think that if all these crystals react to the way people are, then what's the significance? We're going to have to build on this, right?
Like the colour-wise. So red being Darth Maul's and Darth Vader's has a very big significance.
Yeah. Now, initially I thought that the Jedi, the Sith crystals were synthetic, and the Jedi crystals are very natural.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And that's where the redness came from, the unique style. But that might not be true anymore.
Well, maybe they don't do the trials, the Sith, obviously, but they still acquire the crystals and then they change to become red, depending on how evil they are. Because you also got Kylo as well. His was red.
Yeah, but I think Kylo's was Vader's from Vader's lightsaber, but that's yet to be
fractured.
Yeah, I think it was damaged when it came out of the Death Star. It was found on Endor, kept.
Yes,
and then Kylo got it, but that's yet to be determined in canon. But this is now fascinating to me because there was something when they were developing Revenge of the Sith that George had played around with, the theory that when Anakin went to the dark side, his lightsaber blade would naturally change from blue to red. So it looks like they're following through on his initial designs for that part of the story.
So, but it's back to blue now. Oh no, that's Luke's, isn't it?
That's Luke's,
these lightsabers do you nutting, don't they?
Yeah,
the journeys of the lightsabers.
Yeah, they never did do
theoretically, then, if Kylo had Luke's lightsaber and got it at the end of TFA, it would have turned red.
Theoretically, yeah. Looking at this reveal from Ahsoka's book, yes. So you could have had the Skywalker lightsaber with a red blade instead of the blue.
That'd be more interesting, actually.
It's changing everything. I mean, I put a post out about this a couple of days ago, and in the post I put some concept art in the body of the post, which is by an artist called Eric Tiemens, who works at Lucasfilm, and it was art for the Force Awakens, and it had a Jedi or a Sith with a double-bladed lightsaber, and one was red and one was blue. And it made me wonder if this stuff was on the table back then. What was the thinking behind that concept art? Why would you have a blade? Why would you have one of each colour on your weapon? And is it a character that's got a foot on both sides of the Force?
Is it one crystal or two?
The double-bladed lightsabers will be two.
Well, that explains it in a nutshell. But if the crystals are dependent on the Jedi and the energy around them and so on, it does open up a bit of a can of worms.
Doesn't it? You see what I mean? See where the thought process starts to take this one little nugget of information, where that thought process takes you, is that design exists for a reason in Lucasfilm. Somebody gave a brief for that design. So what was it? Who is that figure? Is it Kylo? Has he got a foot in both sides of the Force? Or is it Rey? Has she got a foot in both sides of the Force? And what's the intention there? Where's that going to take us? And this little nugget from the Ahsoka book has unlocked that, and I think that's really fascinating thing. Anyway, I don't want to go. I'm consuming the Ahsoka book at the moment. Ways and means. Some people will be questioning how, but ways and means. I can't wait to get into it and find out where it's going to go, because so far it's a young adult novel. So it's very different to what we've read before. It's called Ahsoka.
It's just called Ahsoka. Okay.
Yeah, I'll send you some details on it, Paul.
She's not the one you see in watching the pod race, is she?
No, that was
Okay.
that was Aura Singh.
All right, okay.
I'll give you a bit more information on that book, the author and so on, once we've wrapped up. Okay, that's going to do us for tonight then, because we've gone on, as we do when we get to these trailers, we've gone on a little bit long. So let's just back out of this episode now. Like I said, download the show notes and you'll see some of the other news articles from this week that didn't make the cut. Other than that, thank you very much for listening to us again this week. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review on iTunes and take advantage of the Ron Burgundy guarantee. Whatever you write,
please.
I will read, but no hate speak and no foul language. Don't forget, you can email us your questions and comments at talkstarwarsinfo@gmail.com. That's talkstarwarsinfo@gmail.com. You can send us voicemails there as well. You can iMessage us on that email address too, if that's easier for you, and we will cut your audio message into the show, as you've heard this evening with James. Or you can reach out to us on one of our many social networks, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube and Instagram, to name but a few. Gents, where can people find you on the internet?
I'm still on Wild About Nature, /Calistine, whatever you want to search on. I'm on Twitter on there, Wild About Nature as well. Doing a lot of vlogs about my new garden project, which is ripping everything out and starting pretty much afresh with 5 new ponds and stuff.
Wow.
Kind of cool. And that's it, really. Oh, and vote yes. More importantly, vote yes and don't listen to Paul. Vote yes.
This is good because I get to go last.
Yes, go for it, mate.
So vote no.
Yes.
Vote no cruel.
Oh, thanks, Paul.
Yes. You will find me on Twitter at Moviescore News. You will find me at moviescorenews.com, and you will find me on Facebook at moviescorenews.com, kind of page thing, basically. And can I add, while I'm here still,
Vote yes.
I'm still jumping for a particular charity that basically does an enormous amount of amazing work for victims of,
you can say it.
rather unforeseen circumstances and so on. Let's say that, to say the least.
Abuse.
It's abuse basically. My jump is now all booked and locked in. So please go to my Twitter page. My my Just Giving page is still pinned to the top. A lot of generosity so far. I can't thank people enough. I'm sort of 2/3 or so to the way to my target, but you can never have too much. So please, if you can,
and remember,
take
it
a
might
look.
Be the last time you ever get to sponsor Paul. So you know.
There is that factor. So vote.
That's cheerful. There will be a link to Paul's
thank you
sponsorship
again,
page in the description to this episode.
And you can get pictures of Paul's.
Actually, while I'm here,
splat.com.
While I'm here, Steve, you could click on it if you wanted.
I've got it in my inbox. I haven't forgotten. It's in my inbox. It's there. See, I've got two things in my inbox. One of them's that, and another one's somebody else's sponsor thing.
Oh, well, there you go.
I'm inundated with sponsor things at the moment.
Okay, you can find everything I do at talkstarwars.co.uk, and I'm at talkstarwars on Twitter.
Never heard of it.
Remember to leave that iTunes review for us so we can go through that next week and send us your thoughts and your feedback on the trailer. We'd love to hear what you made of that. Head to StarWarsCommonwealth.com, our newly launched website, and you will find every member of the Commonwealth there: Tumbling Saber, Generation X-Wing, and newly added Rogue Squadron podcast. That is extremely entertaining. I listened to their latest episode today. Other than that, Rob sends his love, and we will see you guys next week.
And remember, if you're a true Star Wars fan and you consider yourself a true Star Wars fan, then vote yes.
No.
Hunt down the poll and vote yes. Otherwise, we're not going to have an opening crawl and a little spaceship hovering over a planet at the start next week.
Because our podcast makes all the difference.
Yeah. Oh, they will. They'll be listening to this.
Oh,
Kathleen Kennedy will be all over it.
One last thing. There will be no After Dark Side this week. Because we're all knackered. All right. We'll see you guys next week.
Vote no.
Vote yes. Bye.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap.